"What's up, suckers?" boomed the teenager, swaggering into the kitchen. "Arthur, stop speaking like that," despaired his mother, turning to Sophia and rolling her eyes. "This is what you get nowadays for top school fees. They all want to be street." "And put your hood down. It looks ridiculous," she shouted after him as he disappeared straight up to his room. 3 years since her husband passed away, and things were rapidly spiralling out of control at home. Forced to make all the family decisions on her own now, and struggling. The children kept pushing her patience to its limits, and nothing ever seemed to go right. Mary had been a good wife, content with her lot. Henry had always been the one in charge, consulting her on everything, and ultimately shouldering responsibility. Life with him had been good, no complaints. But without him, a hellish nightmare. In her lowest moments, inconsolably miserable, Mary would sit up in bed late at night and quietly sob, occasionally digging out the vodka bottle, hidden for emergencies, at the top of the wardrobe. The alcohol helped her to drop off to sleep, only to face the same shit another day, trapped in the brutal grip of depression. Her eldest daughter strutted into the room wearing ridiculously high heels. "Anyone seen my iPhone?" demanded Kitty. At the end of her tether, Mary sounded fed up. "Ugh. It'll be wherever you left it. Aren't these shoes a bit much for mooching round the house?" "Then you, trying to wear them in for a party. Do you like them?" She swivelled round to show off her vertiginous sparkly sandals. Leaning both elbows on the work surface, she tilted her head with a cute smile at her mother. "Mum, can I use your credit card?" "There's a new clinic. Everyone's raving about it. Emily's going to get her lips done. I've promised to go with her. Thought I might get a bit of Botox done while I'm there." "No, sorry, sweetheart. I think you need to put the brakes on all these cosmetic treatments. You're starting to look like a different person." Kitty attempted to frown, but her brows remained frozen. Standing up, she slammed her hands on her hips for effect instead. "For fuck's sake, Mum, you just don't understand. Everyone does it now. It's the norm, and I'm sick of having to beg for money all the time." She stormed out of the kitchen and slammed the door so hard everything on the dresser rattled. Mary flinched. Sophia felt sorry for Mary, who was trying her best, but overcompensating for being a single parent, aware that today must be especially hard for her. The anniversary of Henry's death. Nobody was mentioning the significance of the date, but Sophia knew and realised the importance of being there for support. The children didn't appear to be so emotional about the event. They were all in their teens and at that age. Arthur was the eldest and the most like Henry, tall, blonde and intelligent, doing well at school and hoping to get into Durham. Kitty, 2 years younger, and the exact opposite, was a small, busty blonde, bursting with attitude. She had a kind heart, but her paternal grandmother's sharp tongue, and was fervently keen to be grown up. 16 going on 26. Teeth, tan and tits with puffy lips. She'd successfully worn down her mother and ticked off her wish list for whiter teeth, Botox and ludicrously expensive real hair extensions. At 16 and a half. Horrified, Mary was too fatigued to do battle anymore and shamefully gave in to whatever the self-entitled little cow demanded. Anything for quiet life. The pumped-up lips repulsed Mary the most. Her naturally beautiful daughter, now beginning to look like a clone. Thank goodness the youngest wasn't so image-obsessed. A year younger than Kitty, but the poor thing had her own multitude of problems to contend with. not least that Henry had chosen to christen her Tertia, meaning third, and then nicknamed her Titty, which didn't help. Titty was riddled with anxiety and only 6 when first evaluated by a child psychologist. Since then she'd been assessed by almost every reputable quack in the country, all intent on solving her fragile mental state and frequent panic attacks. However, she seemed to be showing signs of improvement lately, thanks to a new addition in the household, an emotional support animal, a little white mouse named Mr. Bojangles that she carried with her at all times. Mary let out a deep sigh, collapsed into one of the chairs and flopped forwards on the kitchen table, covered her face with her hands and started to cry. I can't do anything right. The kids never stopped complaining. It wasn't like this when Dad was alive. And they're right. I miss Henry so much. Seizing a box of tissues from the dresser, Sophia rushed round the table to comfort her. 15 years ago, when Sophia had started her own company, Mary had been one of her first interior design clients. The Pembrokes had been very good to her over the years, constantly keeping in touch and booking endless work to their £8 million house near Kensington High Street. As one of England's most respected fine art auctioneers, Henry had commanded a whopping salary, on top of a substantial family inheritance. He left his entire fortune to Mary in his will. Now an extremely wealthy widow, she would never have to worry about money again. He also set up a trust to benefit the children, £1 million each, payable on their 21st birthdays. The Pembrokes were a popular family with a busy social life that had ground to a halt 5 years ago, when Henry was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Able to afford the best, he had consulted the top specialists, but tragically, even money couldn't help to prolong his life. Mary tried her best to remain positive and lovingly nursed him at home throughout 2 long and difficult years. They tried everything, but nothing could beat the cancer. There were good days and bad days, until finally Henry withered away in front of her eyes to a pathetic skeleton. Mary's stiff upper lip enabled her to remain stoic to the bitter end, never showing her utter desolation at losing her rock, her world, her everything. The children retreated into their shells, shutting themselves in their rooms for hours on end. Being a mother to fatherless children was incredibly hard. Mary kept her chin up and prayed things would improve, but they just kept getting worse. The kitchen door opened silently, and Titty timidly peeked round it. After a quick glance at her mother, without saying a word, she scuttled off again. "You need a break," declared Sophia. "I know, but where can a 50-year-old widow on the verge of a breakdown go on her own?" asked Mary. Sophia stood up, racking her brains, her pretty face contorting with worry, mindlessly nibbling the skin around her fingernails. Deeply concerned about Mary's mental health. She seemed on the verge of collapse. Sophia knew she had to come up with an answer fairly quickly. Despite the 14-year age gap, the 2 women had been friends a long time. Sophia would do anything she could to help Mary. Her life had practically ground to a halt, immersed in grief for so long. "If there's a God up there," prayed Sophia, "surely it's time for Mary's life to move on." "I've had a thought," suggested Sophia gently. "I'm off to France next week to start refurbishing an old farmhouse near Aix for Bernard Maskell. He's putting me up in his boutique hotel on the coast, half an hour away. Hotel de Bleu. A fortnight of sun and sea would do you the world of good. Why don't you come with me? Mary lifted her face and wiped her eyes, so Sophia continued with slightly more enthusiasm. While I'm at work during the day, you can relax, swim and sunbathe. In the evenings, we'll find nice little local restaurants and explore the countryside's endless fields of lavender and sunflowers. Mary blew her nose noisily into a soggy tissue. What about the kids? They're old enough to look after themselves. Plus, you've got a cleaner who can keep an eye on them every day. Stop thinking about everyone else and put yourself first for a change. You need a break, or you'll have a breakdown. I know, she mumbled. Come on, you deserve some time to yourself to think things through and hopefully try to move on. You're right, agreed Mary feebly. Excellent, concluded Sophia cheerily. I'll pick you up on Monday morning around 10 for Heathrow. My office will organise everything and book you into Bernard's hotel. Make sure you pack a sun hat and plenty of sunscreen. Mary groaned. Just remembered. None of my holiday clothes fit me anymore. Forget it. I can't come. Why on earth not? I've got nothing to wear. Stop making silly excuses. Surely you've got at least one outfit that'll do for the time being. Come on, the markets in Provence are amazing. We'll buy you some new clothes when we're there. Desperate for a break from the door-slamming arguments with her children, and genuinely touched by Sophia's sweet support, Mary thought this might be exactly what she needed to lift her spirits. Okay, you've persuaded me.